so they could essentially be entirely self-reliant in just a span of a few months, sometimes 3, sometimes 4, based on the course. It led us to take a deep dive as we discovered the kind of efforts that we've been seeing going on in the field of skill development across the country over the last few years.
That's right, and it's much needed, no? Because India, there are about 808 million youth, young people below the age of 35, and data suggests that only about 5% of them are formally trained. What that means is that you sometimes have even graduates who aren't prepared for how competitive the job market really is.
The tricky thing is, I mean, you and I both know the job market is a terrifying place if you're a young person. Now, the great thing is that this is something that government after government has tried to work on over the last few years. The Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana was launched in 2015, so a few years ago, and it had one goal: skilling the entire country. Because for most young
Namaste, Jai Hind, and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I'm Anand Narsimhan. Apple reportedly manufactured iPhones worth $14 billion in Bharat in the fiscal year 2024. This is a significant uptick, with Apple now producing approximately 14% of its flagship devices in our country. Reports suggest that about 1 in 7 iPhones are now made in Bharat. A total of 69 Indian universities with 424 entries have made it to the Quacquarelli Simons World University rankings by subject, marking a 19.4% rise from the previous year's 355 entries achieved by 66 universities. 3 IIMs, JNU are also part of this list. We are the second most represented nation in Asia. According to the latest Global Trade Outlook and Statistics report of the World Trade Organization, Bharat has registered a 17% jump in the export of digitally delivered services to a staggering $257 billion to become the world's 4th largest exporter in the segment. Bharat's Chandrayaan-3 mission team has been awarded the prestigious 2024 Donald Jack Swigert Jr. Award for space exploration, acknowledging their efforts to elevate the standards of space exploration. Ladies and gentlemen, let's now set up debate number 1 here on The Right Stand, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said that the Congress governments of the past failed to strengthen our borders, but under a very, very strong Modi Sarkar, terrorists have been killed in their own turf. The "khus ke marenge" underlined.
तब भारत में आतंकवाद ने पैर पसारे, आज भारत में मोदी की मजबूत सरकार है, इसलिए आतंकवादियों को घर में घुसकर मारा जाता है। कांग्रेस के समय में तो जवानों के पास बुलेट प्रूफ जैकेट तक की कमी थी। ये भाजपा है जिसने भारत में बनी बुलेट प्रूफ जैकेट अपने सैनिकों को दी, उनके जीवन की रक्षा की।
While addressing a rally in Rishikesh, Prime Minister Narendra Modi yet again reiterating that for the NDA government under his leadership, nation comes first. Under the leadership of what he referred to as a Mazboot Modi Sarkar, the Prime Minister asserted that the country now boasts of a robust government that ensures national security even in conflict zones. The Prime Minister said that terrorists were being eliminated in their own homes, on their own turf. And then launching a scathing attack against the opposition, especially the Congress party. Prime Minister said enemies of our country took advantage of a weak government in the past. But is there more to read in the Prime Minister's message at 2 levels, ladies and gentlemen? A subtle hint to those who are trying to bait this government on alleged killings on foreign soil, and also an open dare to anybody who dares to look at our nation and think of it as weak. But more importantly, also telling those who are orchestrating perhaps certain misconceptions, an ecosystem telling them, do what you want, hum ghus ke hi marenge. Let's go straight across to Shaina NC, spokesperson of the BJP, Lokesh Jindal, political analyst who backs the Congress party, and Dr. Anand Ranganathan, political commentator and also author, joining us this evening. Namaste and Jai Hind to everybody. Simple. There comes an article which comes and they say allegedly 20 people have been killed on foreign soil, allegedly, as per Pakistani intelligence officials, allegedly. But the Prime Minister stands there and says, those who are enemies of the state, hum ghus ke marenge. Lokesh Jindal, a scathing attack at the governments of the past too. What was mazboot about your sarkars? We were seeing bomb blasts everywhere and there were messages written everywhere. Watch what's under your legs. What's there behind? Any bag there, don't even go near it. It may just explode anytime. And now you have international media writing, see, these people who are supposed to be terrorists, who are supposedly wanted by the Indian government for various activities on Indian soil, are being neutralized on foreign soil.
Well, such attacks carried out by non-state actors, it gained prominence in the 1990s. And since then, we saw governments forming security mechanisms to deal with these challenges. And the beginning was made in 1990s during the time period of P.V. Narasimha Rao's government. In fact, successively, right from NDA having an interregnum, we had the nuclear policy being formulated, followed by 1999 and 2004 till 2014. And this trend to deal with this threat has continued over a period of time. It has evolved. So the Prime Minister claiming that only during his regime he has developed a mechanism, security agencies to deal with these threats, and there was nothing of this sort which was present in those times. I don't know on what basis he says this. Because internal security, the threat to the internal security was always a sensitive issue from outside and from within. The Indian Army, as well as the security agencies, be it paramilitary forces, they have been sacrificing their lives. They have been doing a condemnable job. They are doing something phenomenal and exceptional. And disregarding their sacrifices and not appreciating what has happened before and simply glorifying the present regime is not something which befits the stature of the Prime Minister. What requires is
Sir, the plank that the Prime Minister is firmly underlining is the plank of nationalism and nation first, sir. That's what he's saying. And no matter how much you try to say that Bharat is trying to create a narrative, that Bharat is trying to meddle into the nations or affairs of other nations, Bharat continues to say we will go ahead and continue to neutralize those who threaten us. Officially, the government has said we've got no involvement with any other incident in foreign soil. But unofficially, the messaging is very, very clear.
India carried out various operations. Yes, may I?
Yeah, please complete and then China and see respond.
India has carried out various operations in foreign soils as well. Prior to 2014, there was Operation Meghdoot. There was operations which were carried out with respect to securing India's internal security and security interests. So trying to claim that it is only from 2014 that India has started the policy of ghus ke marenge, this is not correct. Even before, our Jawans and our security agencies, they have targeted those organizations, countries which are proving a threat to India's security. So it's not something that is something new or something phenomenal, something revolutionary about this particular government.
China NC, please respond.
So Anand, I think as an Indian, it's a matter of pride that this is a strong government. Prime Minister Modi, when he says "ghus ke ghar mein marenge," this is not about some kind of a male chauvinistic statement. This is about nationalism. This is about showing that the Bharatiya Janata Party, whether it's a Pulwama or it is any other terror activity, if you look at the kind of terror activities, encounters, stone pelting that took place in Jammu Kashmir post 370, see how drastically the numbers have gone down. You have zero shutdowns post 370. Is this not a big thing to talk about to countrymen who are worried about security and safety? No border infra issues. You have a Prime Minister who has talked about simple things but important things like bulletproof jackets. The pride for every Indian that you have rifles made in India, you have aircrafts made in India, you have all kinds of equipment which earlier were only brought from the West are now procured, manufactured under Make in India. And then he goes on to say that how no terrorist will be spared. And I think salute to Prime Minister Modi for making every Indian feel so secure. The feeling that yes, we are a mazboot, competent, equipped government to take on terrorists head on. And when I say head on, it is not with any apologetic sympathy. He was speaking in Uttarakhand, where so many of our armed forces and young Jawans come from. We know their kind of contribution to the army. This has been highlighted by Prime Minister Modi, spoken about by our Defence Minister Rajnath Singh too. So I'm glad that he talks about a Majboot Sarkar and says we will ghus ke marenge, khatam karenge aatankwaad ko. As an Indian, I feel secure to be under the leadership of a man who champions the cause of nation building, champions the cause of nation being strong and everything else preceding and not the reverse as one has seen.
No, but the claim is that since the 90s, these kind of operations have happened. Since the 90s,
and will never be under the leadership of
But China NC, the response is that this is a false claim. It's not just in the last 10 years, it's happened even before that. Although the governments of the past have not come out and openly said, dekho, humne ghus ke mara, that started from the time of Prime Minister Narendra Modi since 2014 onwards.
Anand, you just look at the statistics on your screen today. Post 370, look at Jammu and Kashmir as a case study and please pull it out and see how many attacks there were in the past, what is the statistic today, how many stone pelting issues there were in the past and how many there are today, how many buns there were and there are 0 today, from 52 down to 0. The terror incidents, this is you, CNN saying it, not the Bharatiya Janata Party, from 228 to 44.
We are not saying
encounters from 189
we are only
to
quoting
48.
the MHA.
This is absolutely, but this is factual. Civilians who have lost lives, you have 55 which are in the public domain, which are down to 13. So please understand that on every accord. And why did I talk about even bulletproof vests, rifles, aircrafts, all kind of equipment that our army needs today is all made in India. What a big achievement is that. There have been no terror attacks, there have been no communal violence.
So you're saying
and the Prime Minister has led from the front. So this is a strong government no matter what you say.
You're making the price of attacking India or fomenting trouble in Bharat so dear for the opposition, for the enemy. Plus you're also saying that internally we have further tried to empower and strengthen our own forces so that they can defend our turf better. Dr. Ranganathan, agree, disagree?
Absolutely.
Dr. Ranganathan, agree, disagree?
Absolutely.
Good evening, Anand. I agree. Look, the fact remains that because of political expediency or vote bank or appeasement or the fear of being branded Islamophobic, the Congress has traditionally been soft on terror. There are umpteen examples of this. In January 2020, for example, the Bengaluru police arrested 6 SDPI men who, Anand, for a mere 10,000 each, plotted to kill the young BJP MP Tejasvi Surya because of his pro-CA stand. They came to kill him at a rally, but couldn't. So nearly killed an RSS worker instead. SDPI is the other side of the PFI coin, but the Congress never banned the PFI. In spite of documented proof collected by its own government.
Rahul Gandhi is taking support from the PFI. Please add that in Wayanad.
That the PFI was neck deep in acts of terror, bomb making, training camps, political murders, links with Al-Qaeda. The tragedy is that the Indian state sadly buckles when it comes to terrorism. Remember the recent release of the Coimbatore bombers, despite the refusal of the Supreme Court to give them bail? And the release was trumpeted by the DMK government as an example of being concerned about the minority. Can you imagine? And as I said, This softness is truly, especially true for Congress. Does Rahul Gandhi, for example, have the guts to say terrorism has a religion? I challenge him. Kashmir is a living example of this. They might even certify that the slogan shouted on the night of January 1990 from the top of mosque, Ralif Salif Galif, death to Kafirs, Pandit leave your women behind, convert, run or die, Nizam-e Mustafa, has nothing to do with religion. Air Chief Dhanoa is on record saying that the Indian Air Force wanted to bomb terror hideouts in Pakistan in the wake of 26/11 but was forbidden to do so by Manmohan Singh. India rewarding Pakistan for their 2008 attack on our embassy in Kabul by capitulating miserably in the Sharm el-Sheikh declaration. Tens of thousands attending the funerals of terrorist Yaqub Mehman Burhan Wani. The mainstreaming of PFI being awarded by vice presidents. Shiv Kumar doubting the Mangalore terror strike. Congress leaders defending Simi in court. Doubting the Balakot airstrike. Sonia Gandhi crying tears of sorrow after the Batla House encounter. Terrorist Yasin Malik celebrated by India's Prime Minister. Anand, I can go on and on and on. And let us be clear on one thing. Poverty or illiteracy have nothing to do with fundamentalism. Fundamentals have. You can be educated and still blow up the World Trade Center or charge at the Gorakhnath temple shouting Allahu Akbar. Please understand. There is nothing called radicalization. But our politicians, especially the Congress ones, don't have the courage to admit this. On the other hand, the Congress has ample courage to brand Hinduism as a terrorist religion, to hail Aurangzeb who killed 4.6 million Hindus, to coin the phrase saffron terror in just 30 seconds. In an age where Pakistan Zindabad turns into Naseem Sahib and IED turns into gas cylinder, in a way, I am relieved that the recent bomber of Rameshwaram Cafe was caught entering and praying at a mosque after he planted the bomb, because otherwise, the Congress might have claimed that he was wearing a Hindu sacred thread kalava so that our politicians could then have branded the entire act as perpetrated by Hindus or the RSS conspiracy. Exactly what they did in the wake of 26/11.
Strong charge there, but I'm going to stay on the facts before we go across to Lokesh Jindal. 2014 to 2022, 79% dip in the terror killings. This is official data that's now we are showing you. 52% dip in terror incidents between 2014 to 2022. 69% uptick in the number of terrorists killed in Jammu and Kashmir between 2014 to 2022. 61% dip in Naxalism related fatalities between 2014 to 2022. And 34% reduction in Naxal affect districts in 2014 to 2022. Now, this is compared to the previous period, Lokesh Jindal. Now,
when I'm talking about internal security and the challenges, a lot depends upon the defense expenditure and the outlay which the government promises. Now, despite the country having threat from the China as well as a hostile neighborhood, the modernization budget rose by a meager 6%. Although the government has claimed to do, but it has not done enough. Whatever it has done is inadequate. We do not have enough war vessels with respect to the Navy. We are still dependent upon the strategic missiles. We are still dependent upon foreign countries. Our defense personnel are not adequately employed. The government came out with the Agniveer scheme so as to deal with the deficiency of war personnel that are required. So there is a lot more. I mean, it is less than 2% still the capital, the budget outlay for the defense, which needs to be increased during the Modi regime. But what we have seen, that budget after budget, the defense expenditure was reduced. So if the government claims Ghus ke marenge and these slogan hearing, madam, please allow me to come.
What did the Congress do
let him complete. Shanansi, let him
tell me.
Let him complete. You may agree with him, disagree with him. Let him complete. Yeah.
If the government really aims at modernizing, making the country stronger, well, it has to be more on the budgetary outlay, modernization of defense forces, getting more and more indigenously built arms and ammunitions. And when you're talking about institutions, DRDO was built during the time period of Jawaharlal Nehru. Almost all missile programs, all forms of institutional setup, this was done during the previous regimes. So if there is some form of chest thumping, we are with you, but why simply negate and come out with a false theory that there was nothing in the past and everything that was being done is done in the present?
Now, Shai Nancy, yes.
Anand, I think there are few big takeaways from the Prime Minister's message today. Number one, that this is not a competition with what the Congress did, but this is what the development is of the Bharatiya Janata Party vis-a-vis terrorism, making our country strong and not being weak, because only in weak countries do terrorists prosper. And the fact that he has made such a strong statement as the Prime Minister of this country gives a sense of security and gives a sense of absolute understanding that nation comes first and nothing else can be compromised. When Prime Minister says that the enemies took advantage of weak governments, what is he saying? He raised questions about China. He raised questions about border infrastructure, which the Congress party never focused on. Then you talk about our Jawans and you talk about our personnel who have joined the army. He has said how in Make in India, whether it's bulletproof vests, rifles, aircrafts, etc., how everything is being procured and produced in India, and that is also a matter of pride. At the same time, he talks about how we as a country are going to ensure that if there is any incident of Naxalism, you look at the statistics that you highlighted on your channel, and these are all available with the Ministry of Home Affairs. And we know that how Naxalism has reduced, how the Maoists are almost defunct, how we have ensured that there is no terror activity of organizations flourishing. Our Home Minister, when he says POK is India's, it gives every Indian a sense of pride to have such strong leaders as Prime Minister Modi and Amit Shah ji, because this is actually the truth.
POK is India's, POK is India's, Shai Nancy, POK is India's is a resolution that's passed in Parliament. Long back, even in the 60s, this resolution had happened. In the 70s, this resolution has happened. So POK is India's has been a claim which is there even in our map since at that time.
Walking the talk.
No, so walking the talk has not happened.
Resolutions and
Walking the talk yet has not happened.
370. Post
Walking the talk.
370, you take Jammu
Walking
and
the
Kashmir
talk
and
yet
just
has not
highlight
happened.
it.
Neither
Highlight
have Mirpur,
how
Muzaffarabad
many
been
incidents
started
of
to
terror
highlight
or
it,
pelting
nor
or
have
even
the languages spoken largely in Pakistan occupied Kashmir currently, or even in the Gilgit-Baltistan region made official languages in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. So far, those languages have not yet been started. Nor has there been active reporting or coverage beyond just the weather report that has been done of these regions. So yes, there are strong claims that are made, but what's being done to action that we have to see. Leaving 24 seats vacant in the Jammu and Kashmir Assembly in the past, and what's going to happen going forward, we have to wait and watch. So there has to be some walk the talk. But Lokesh Jindal, please tell me one instance that you remember in the past where we have said that other nations in the neighborhood have complained कि आपके लोग हमारे यहाँ के कुछ कर रहे हैं. All the time our complaints were your people are coming into our country.
Well, you need to
Okay, Lokesh, just Mr. Ranganathan wants to, Dr. Ranganathan wants to make a point, and then I'll come to you. Yes, please.
Thank you. At the outset, let me say Eid Mubarak to everyone, especially to my good friend Lokesh Jindal. The problem with Eid is that I think he had too much sevaiya and there was too much sugar in the sevaiya. It's gone to his head. For him to say that the defense budget has decreased over the last 10 years is preposterous. Anand, here is the data. Can you see the graph? It has zoomed up from 2 lakh crores to 6 lakh crores. What is Lokesh talking about? Lokesh, you cannot lie so blatantly on live television, my friend.
No.
Please.
No. Let me tell you, I think you did not have enough sevaiya in the Eid, because the defense expenditure has gone up, the capital outlay has decreased.
Could you have sugar-free sevaiya next time? Do not have so much sugar in sevaiya, my friend.
No. Your data is incorrect. I am talking about capital outlay. Sir, I am talking about the capital outlay.
Please apologize.
The highest capital outlay that defense ever had was in 2011-12, which was 30%, and it reduced to 2018 and 19, which was 22%. So simply showing certain graphs doesn't prove your point. Tell me, what is the capital outlay for the defense sector? Has it increased or has it decreased?
What was the budget in 2014 and what was the budget this year? Just tell me the numbers.
No, no,
Tell me
no.
the numbers.
Okay, there are. Okay, please answer. Please answer.
In 2011 and 12, the defense capital outlay was the highest during the Manmohan Singh regime, which was 30%. And during 2018-19, the capital outlay was the lowest in the entire defense expenditure, which was 22%.
22%.
When you talk about capital outlay, it plays a very important role.
So you're saying capital outlay in terms of percentage. I'm wanting to know actual value, sir. 30% of a budget of what size, and 22% of a budget of what size? Secondly, privatization in defense. Privatization in defense was initiated post the 2014 or post 2019 that it has come. The amount of money that's come from the private sector into defense expenditure, that is something that you have to ask. Government outlays, you may claim, have come down, but has the overall investment into the defense sector and in defense gone up or not? And 22% of what budget? What's the overall size of the budget? And 30% of what's the overall size of the budget? Which defense minister is on record to say we cannot buy planes because we don't have money? Which defense minister is on record to say we cannot buy guns because we don't have money? And in which year, sir? So if sir, when you come out to fact check, sir, don't try and fact check with an agenda, because you will get fact checked yourself. That's what will happen, sir. I have to wind up because we've run out of time. We've run out of time. Thank you very much. We're going to take this forward. It's political season, ladies and gentlemen. So the number of commercials also have gone up here on the show. We're compelled to take a break. But when we come back, it's the Prime Minister's interview to Newsweek that hogs the headlines. The editor Asia of the Newsweek, Danish Manzoor, joins us. Stay with us.
So our first story today is a rather special one. It's one that we discovered right here in our backyard in Noida. Just a few minutes away from our studios is a special little school where you have hundreds of students who are going to be receiving education. This is students with lesser access. Each batch is about 40 students large. They make the yummiest meals from scratch. Just close your eyes. Imagine balushai, chow mein, fluffy bread rolls.
अरे hold on, Toya, stop getting carried away by the food. खबर क्या है ये भी तो बता दे अपने viewers को. It's not just the food, of course. These students are taught how to envision new business models from scratch. Right from ideation to execution, this little academy finds eager students, it trains them, and then it places them into employment. So it's an end-to-end program.
So we're super excited to get to know how so many young people were getting this kind of training, so they could essentially be entirely self-reliant in just a span of a few months, sometimes 3, sometimes 4, based on the course. It led us to take a deep dive as we discovered the kind of efforts that we've been seeing going on in the field of skill development across the country over the last few years.
That's right, and it's much needed, no? Because India, there are about 808 million youth, young people below the age of 35, and data suggests that only about 5% of them are formally trained. What that means is that you sometimes have even graduates who aren't how competitive the job market really is.
The tricky thing is, I mean, you and I both know the job market is a terrifying place if you're a young person. Now, the great thing is that this is something that government after government has tried to work on over the last few years. The Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana was launched in 2015, so a few years ago, and it had one goal: skilling the entire country. Because for most young Indians, the tricky part, paying for building employability, which means paying to get the skills that you need so that you can be employed. That's actually the trickiest part. That's where this mission steps in. You've got, so far till date, we talked about 2015 it's starting, till date 1,37 lakh people that have been trained under the scheme.
That's right, but we need to get into more details, right? What does it actually do? How does the program actually run? How many people are training under it? Who funds it, etc.? How do we make sure students aren't fully skilled but also excited to get up in, out there and get into the market as well? So to understand all of this, TBC team visited the Gyanshri Training Center, and this is what we found.
of the 2024 Lok Sabha elections, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in an interview with the US magazine Newsweek, spoke about a host of issues concerning Bharat, from Lok Sabha elections to minorities debate to Pakistan in India-China relations. Prime Minister spoke at length on all issues, but the opposition remains unimpressed with the Prime Minister's interview. The Congress claiming that with this interview, the Prime Minister has crossed all limits of cowardice. The international media too, many of them calling out the interview, saying it's not an interview but just a mere press release. Joining us now is Danish Manzoor Bhatt, Editorial Director of the Newsweek, Editorial Director Asia for Newsweek. Danish, namaste, Jai Hind. Thank you very much for speaking with us. First up, congratulations on this big interview with the Prime Minister. Did the Prime Minister answer all your questions?
I think it's the easiest question I've had in my career so far. So the answer is yes. The Prime Minister was very accommodating in getting all the questions answered and in the required time frame. So there you go.
There were some responses. You had sent some questions in advance, and then the responses, were they apt or evasive? Because it all happened in that 90-minute interaction.
So first of all, they weren't technically questions. They were perhaps the line of questioning and the topics that we would be speaking on. And then once we met in person and then the conversation ensued, that's when I think we went above and beyond those questions, and it was a very interesting conversation because the Prime Minister opened up as he genuinely wanted to speak to the world and communicate to the own people in India and outside the world the reality of how he is perceived versus how he actually is.
Well, now China has responded to his response or his point of view as far as India-China relations. But how is he perceived? Let's talk about that. How?
So you see, when you go by the usual media diatribe, or when you go by what is usually written about in the media, it is usually either topic-based or issue-based. In all of those things, the person also, to some extent, gets painted in the light of the topic that is being discussed. And I felt that the Prime Minister also is sort of a victim to something very similar, wherein when there is a topic discussed and he gets colored in the light of that particular topic. But as a person, not just me, I think all of my colleagues, we all felt that he is somebody who knows exactly what he's doing. He is somebody who knows everything that he is doing, and that too on his fingertips. Like, he didn't have any notes. He wasn't carrying any of his iPads or devices with him. He did not require any prompting for any data that he was sharing about his country that he has worked on, whether developmental figures, whether to do with foreign policy. So we went from topic to topic, and the Prime Minister stayed on course. In fact, at one place, we as journalists also sometimes end up fumbling, but then he didn't, safe to say, in this particular interaction.
You've got commendations, but also critique and also brickbats. International media saying it's nothing but a mere press release. Some of your peers, rivals, locally, the Congress party has turned out and called this perhaps the biggest act of cowardice. How would you respond?
I wouldn't. I mean, everybody has a right to their own opinion. By saying something, I don't think it would really affect me personally or the brand. Everybody knows, the readers know, and I think we always head back to our readers, we always head back to our audience, and then we let them decide what they feel about us. At our end, we try to do our job and we try to do it right, but then if somebody wants to nitpick, it is their right, because I also see them as readers, right? So if they are if there are some of them who feel that we have not done a good job, we'll definitely look into it and try and see how we can do a better job. We can definitely never please everybody, because first of all, we are not in the business of pleasing anybody.
Right.
But then, as I said, I know one thing, that whatever I've written, the conversation I've had with the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, all of that has been published as is, with zero interference or any kind of push from the Prime Minister or his office.
Well, final question, Danish. The interview has been headlined or as unstoppable. Who chose the word and why?
I think it was a mixed effort. There were a couple of other words that were floating around that we were trying to see how do we label India as. And then we realized that at this point of time, the focus being the Prime Minister, and he's finished his 2 terms successfully, and still his popularity rates are only increasing and not decreasing. It's obvious, he is unstoppable. There is no anti-incumbency factor that is seen much on all the social media platforms, on the ground, from the people that we met. We could very well be wrong, but then we can only write about what we see and what we feel, what is in front of us. Looking at what is in front of us, unstoppable was inevitable.
There goes another word. Unstoppable was inevitable, you say. Danish Manzoor, thank you for your time and thank you for speaking with us here at CNN News 18. Now, China has actually reacted to this Newsweek interview of the Prime Minister, and we'll put out those details also. Have to take a very, very short break. BJP's Ab Ki Baar pitch, that's what Prime Minister said, resonated on ground too. But will Tamil Nadu vote saffron? Stay with us.
So our first story today is a rather special one. It's one that we discovered right here in our backyard in Noida. Just a few minutes away from our studios is a special little school where you have hundreds of students who are going to be receiving education. This is students with lesser access. Each batch is about 40 students large. They make the yummiest meals from scratch. Just close your eyes. Imagine balushai, chow mein, fluffy bread rolls.
hold on, Toya, stop getting carried away by the food. खबर क्या है ये भी तो बता दे अपने viewers को. It's not just the food, of course. These students are taught how to envision new business models from scratch. Right from ideation to execution, this little academy finds eager students, it trains them, and then it places them into employment. So it's an end-to-end program.
So we're super excited to get to know how so many young people were getting this kind of training so they could essentially be entirely self-reliant in just a...
Can the BJP breach Tamil Nadu? That's the big question, because Prime Minister Narendra Modi repeatedly says that even Ab Ki Baar 400 Par is resonating on ground. Let's look at the numbers quickly, ladies and gentlemen. Here's how big the gap is. Let's take Kovai, where the state BJP president K. Annamalai is actually contesting. The CPIM at 46% vote share. BJP has 31%. So how is it the BJP is runner-up in these seats? We've tried to pick up seats where the BJP has more than about 20-25% vote share and is in the hunt amongst the 39 Lok Sabha seats. And let's say, okay, let's do a deep dive. Ramanathapuram. Prime Minister went there, and of course Prime Minister Ramanathapuram is under the discourse right now because of Kachativu issue. IUML at 44% vote share, BJP at 32%. Again, runner-up here. Can it actually bridge this gap? Kanyakumari. Congress at 60% vote share, clear winner the last time around, the BJP at 35%, so clearly a distant second, big gap to bridge. Let's Sivagangai, where Karthi Chidambaram is contesting. Congress 52% vote share, BJP has only 22% vote share, a 30% vote share gap. How is it going to bridge this? Thuthukudi, DMK 57%, and the BJP 35%. Look at Puducherry, Congress 56%, AINRC, the NDA ally, had 35%. C.R. Keshavan, national spokesperson of the BJP with us, C. Rajashekharan, lawyer and president of Voice of Tamil Nadu with us, and Anand Ranganathan stays on. Thank you very much. Namaste and Jai Hind, ladies, to the gentlemen here present. Now the big question is, C.R. Keshavan, there is a reason why M.K. Stalin is saying 0, because that's what the numbers point out for the BJP. If you look at these seats where the BJP has more than, say, 30% vote share, except for 1 or 2 places, but look at the gap between the leader and the runner-up. How are you even going to get 3 seats in Tamil Nadu?
Good evening, Anand, and to my co-panelists. M.K. Stalin is saying so because he is rattled seeing the reception the Honorable Prime Minister has been receiving from the people of Tamil Nadu. I'll define this debate and my answer with just one line. What happened in 2019 in West Bengal for the BJP? Everybody predicted a linear growth. From 2 seats, we went up to 18 seats. We increased our vote share to 40%, the staggering 25% increase. This is called an inflection point. And what we're seeing in Tamil Nadu, the groundswell of support, is going to be an inflection point. In Tamil Nadu's Lok Sabha history is what we strongly feel, and I'll tell you why. See, the people are fed up with the social justice rhetoric of the DMK. Nothing has happened, but true social justice has happened because Modi ji has delivered non-discriminatory delivery of development programs worth 11 lakh crore to the people. People are seeing change happening at the ground. It's percolated, and you see what he's done for Tamil Nadu in terms of development program. I'll come to the chemistry. I just want to cite the 2.67 lakh crores have been given to 5.4 crore people, mostly youth and women under the Mudra loans. These are making an impact. 1.6 crore Jan Dhan accounts, 58% are women. And these PM Awas Yojana, the schemes for houses, the majority of the patta is given to women. Somebody who's working in my house has got a PM Awas Yojana, and the Prime Minister tweeted about it. This is happening at the ground level. And politically, besides the developmental program, see what happened with Kachativu. The Shakuni-like match fixing of the Congress and the DMK has been exposed. They've been shedding crocodile tears. People are very angry. The fishermen are, people may say, oh, this was a small place, or they'll say, oh, it doesn't affect. It's not about one constituency impact. It's a loss of faith and trust in the DMK. And the failed promises. I cited how much the Prime Minister did for the women. What did the DMK do? They increased task mark sales. They said their first signature, will be to remove it. And the task mark sale, there is a flood of liquor in Tamil Nadu, and the people who are affected are women. Dynastic rule. People, they look and the anti-Sanatan, north-south rhetoric. They're talking the language of the 1960s.
See,
and here,
I'll tell you what.
It is not a division of vote, Anand. It's a pro-BJP vote. That they want an alternative. They want a change. They feel Modi ji's development model, Modi ji's guarantees the vaccine to defeat this DMK virus of false promises, also misrule.
Right. See, Rajashekharan.
Yes, good evening, Anand.
Good evening. In all these seats, the DMK is not there anywhere in the picture. It's all allies of the DMK. But is the BJP now perhaps going to dent and shift the narrative?
Anand, with due regards to whatever statistics and percentage of votes, and from where did you get it, I don't know. Maybe the last elections results you're telecasting, or what is that? I didn't understand.
Yeah. Last elections results, 2019 Lok Sabha, the places where the BJP was a second, or a close second, or a distant second.
No, did they contest alone, or were they with alliance with the ADMK?
Of course, they were alliance with the ADMK, but these were BJP candidates, sir.
So the ADMK vote share. No. Let me make things very clear on your channel. It is the ADMK vote share which you are projecting as BJP vote share. There itself, the truth has come out. I don't want to say it is a lie busted. That is not my term generally. The truth is that it is the ADMK vote share, and in Tamil Nadu, whatever the BJP says they have grown and their vote share has increased, all fine with due regards on social media and national debates and regional debates. They have grown. I don't dispute that fact. Again, I want to reiterate, let them appoint booth level members throughout Tamil Nadu. Let them bring the per booth, that is which the ADMK ex-minister Velumani also was saying the other day. I just saw it on your channel only, that they don't exist in Coimbatore, because it is the bastion of Velumani, Edapadi and the ADMK, which the Kongu belt they say. Now the BJP claims they will win, which I'm not saying any person who's contesting elections will definitely aspire to win. They will say I'm going to win. If I contest election also, I will say I will win. If an independent candidate also will say I'm going to win. That is their right to say that. I'm not disputing, I'm not accusing anybody that they are telling lies. It is their job, because they are contesting elections. But the ground reality is different. Though there is anti-incumbency against DMK, They have got the edge over. It is advantage DMK in all party seats. Maybe ADMK may win couple of seats. I don't know which seat. I'm not so.
But you are saying
well
that despite anti-incumbency, the DMK is going to steamroll, the BJP is going to be routed. So, Dr. Ranganathan, there is a reason why then perhaps that Dayanidhi Maran, the likes of Mr. Dayanidhi Maran are calling Annamalai a joker. Now, is he a joker as in jest, or is he the joker who's perhaps going to turn this entire game? What's it going to be?
Well, the last time Mr. Maran talked about something, he had to take permission from his dynasty scion. So I'm not very sure whether these are his words or the words that have been translated to be told to him.
Okay, interestingly, sir, sorry to interrupt you, Dr. Ranganathan. My research team is coming out and saying that this is all BJP vote share, sir. There is no AIADMK here. It's all BJP vote share. So the research team watching you is now currently telling you, here is the fact check, sir. This is all BJP vote share. There is no AIADMK.
Where did they get the vote share?
They have, these are all core BJP vote shares because this is BJP batch.
I have nothing against you.
Boss or no boss, sir, yeah, you don't claim to be the only person who knows Tamil Nadu. Please, historically, the BJP has had influence in at least 5 constituencies at councillor level, assembly level, or at Lok Sabha level. In these are the constituencies where the BJP had a significant uptake in its vote share over and above the regional parties, and this is all BJP vote share. Now, if you still want to challenge this data, this is from the Election Commission. I will, please, you're a lawyer, please petition the Election Commission, challenge them.
Please.
Now, Dr. Ranganathan, sorry for the interruption, please continue. Now, okay, sir, you are your voice of Tamil Nadu, but a Tamilan from Delhi needs his voice on the show. Allow him, please. Yes.
With due respect, Mr. Rajashekharan, I didn't interrupt you. Thank you so much. It's a wonderful discussion we're having. 3 points here. Number 1, Anand, I just thank you for that correction, because I wanted to point out that these are actually not AIADMK or other numbers. These are actually BJP numbers, because yes, out of the 40 odd whatever seats there might be in Tamil Nadu, there still exists 3 or 4 seats where the BJP has substantial vote share. So you are absolutely right. But BJP is no longer thinking of winning those 3 or 4 constituencies. Please remember that. Over and above the fact that both Annamalai and Mr. Modi have said that we have a 15-year vision. We are not talking just of 2024. I want to make 3 very quick points. Number 1, Anand, when the back is against the wall, the spine grows in that back. This is BJP is no longer worried about its association with AIADMK or any other party, because it is a straight David versus Goliath story. And we saw that happen right before our eyes in 2019. When in 2014, as Sia rightly said, the BJP bagged only 2 Lok Sabha seats in Bengal. 5 years later, it bagged as many as 18. This is their thinking. Please do not ignore it, and you will be ignoring it at your peril. Now, what are the things that are going in favor of 2024 BJP as BJP is concerned? 2 things. Number 1, there is no longer this huge chunk of community that traditionally does not vote for BJP as it did in Bengal in 2014, and despite that, the BJP bagged 18 seats. I'm talking of the Muslim community. The Muslim community is 35% in Bengal. In Tamil Nadu, it is 5.6%. So that is a plus factor as far as people who traditionally don't vote for BJP. If they are out of the picture, it is a straight battle. And even Mr. Rajashekharan would admit that the AIADMK base has withered over the last 10 years since the passing away of the late Srimati Jayalalitha. So there is a huge chunk of that vote bank that has, rather than going to DMK, is up for grabs. And BJP has taken it. Now, one would be foolish to assume that that hasn't happened. But above that, I want to reiterate the fact that, what CR talked about, the Mudra loans, talked about the toilets, talked about the tap connections. Please remember, despite a lot of schemes being hogged by the state as being theirs, the fact remains that the flagship schemes of the BJP have this stamp, for better or for worse, of PM Narendra Modi. So in Tamil Nadu, on the ground, he is known as the man who has facilitated 80 crore people being fed over the last 3 years. He is the one who has facilitated 110 million tap water connections, the toilet, the bank accounts. It is Modi versus everybody else.
No, that's a very strong narrative nationally, and also it works on TV debates. So on ground, the dynamics are different. On ground, the caste, subcaste dynamics come into play, the local leader come into play, and of course, who has their own hold. See, in all of this, C.R. Kesavan, you will have to admit that even in today, even in the conscious, media conscious, it may be a DMK versus BJP in terms of the lexicon. Let's not discount Edappadi Palaniswamy and the likes of those leaders who have strong caste base. So
before I address
and the counter caste groups and other caste groups. Yes, please.
Anand, before I address the question, I want to take a minute about the Maran thing. See, Maran, his statement is disgusting, repulsive, and it will boomerang badly, not just on Maran, on the DMK. You know, Dayanidhi Maran, his last name is his only claim to fame, but his first name, Dayanidhi, means kindness in Tamil. All of you would know.
Yeah.
But anything which comes out of his mouth is vile venom. You know, Tamil culture is represented by this beautiful lyric in a song, movie song, which says, Padavi varumbodhu panivu vara vendum. When power comes, you need to be humble and, behave in a civilized and dignified way. But that is our Tamil culture. But what Maran has done is exactly opposite, attacking Mr. Annamalai. I remember, Modi ji's words, the lotus blooms in the dirt and mud. These people are throwing insults, and abuses at us. Like what happened to Modi ji, how people rallied behind him. People will make the lotus bloom in Tamil Nadu. And let me come back to your, you talk about these details.
Right.
Anand, let us please understand. There are caste arithmetic, there, all the arithmetics are there. But this is one of a kind election because you don't have Kalaignar Karunanidhi. You don't have Selvi Jayalalitha. And people there are new voters, there are youngsters, and you see on one side, you see a party, a dynastic party, and you see the kind of corruption, Anand. See, I'll tell you what is the clincher. Tamil Nadu politics has been riddled with corruption, but Modi ji stands for corrupt-free governance. In the DMK, there is a minister who resigned.
Right. So all of this will have an impact. But perhaps the biggest impact is, and something which is also a reality check for every political party. Do you have every person, a person, or boots on the booth? Because till you have boots on the booth, you are not going to be able to get the voter to the booth and to vote. So we'll have to wait and watch. I have run out of time. We'll continue to keep focus spotlight on Tamil Nadu at least till the 19th of April for sure. To all the gentlemen, thank you very much. I have to wind up over time. Thank you. Stay with us. A special episode of Brass Tacks when we come back.
So our first story today is a rather special one. It's one that we discovered right here in our backyard in Noida. Just a few minutes away from our studios is a special little school where you have hundreds of students who are going to be receiving education. This is students with lesser access. Each batch is about 40 students large. They make the yummiest meals from scratch. Just close your eyes. Imagine balushai, chow mein, fluffy bread rolls.
Hold on, Toya. Stop getting carried away by the food. Khabar kya hai, ye bhi to bata de apne viewers ko. It's not just the food, of course. These students are taught how to envision new business models from scratch. Right from ideation to execution, this little academy finds eager students, it trains them, and then it places them into employment. So it's an end-to-end program.
So we're super excited to get to know how so many young people were getting this kind of training so they could essentially be entirely self-reliant in just a span of a few months, sometimes 3, sometimes 4, based on the course. It led us to take a deep dive as we discovered the kind of efforts that we've been seeing going on in the field of skill development across the country over the last few years.
That's right, and it's much needed, no? Because India, there are about 808 million youth, young people below the age of 35, and data suggests that only about 5% of them are
Pawan Kalyan Garu, do you have chief ministerial ambitions? Because your cadres have been waiting with bated breath for that.
See, for me, I'm a great admirer of Nani Palkiwala ji. For me, I believe in servant leadership. Right from my 10th grade, two books of Nani Palkiwalaji influenced me, We the Nation and We the People. So for me, politics is all about serving people and giving servant leadership, but not in terms of becoming something is, if it happens, well and good. But
You have chief ministerial ambitions. You want to be a chief minister someday.
if it happens, well and good. But what I would do is, it's like the essence of Gita, do your duty, leave the result to God. So if it happens, if it comes on my path, definitely I'll accept it.
So our first story today is a rather special one. It's one that we discovered right here in our backyard in Noida. Just a few minutes away from our studios is a special little school where you have hundreds of students who are going to be receiving education. This is students with lesser access. Each batch is about 40 students large. They make the yummiest meals from scratch. Just close your eyes. Imagine balushai, chow mein, fluffy bread rolls.
अरे hold on, Toya, stop getting carried away by the food. खबर क्या है ये भी तो बता दे अपने viewers को. It's not just the food, of course. These students are taught how to envision new business models from scratch. Right from ideation to execution, this little academy finds eager students, it trains them, and then it places them into employment. So it's an end-to-end program.
So we're super excited to get to know how so many young people were getting this kind of training so they could essentially be entirely self-reliant in just a span of a few months, sometimes 3, sometimes 4, based on the course. It led us to take a deep dive as we discovered the kind of efforts that we've been seeing going on in the field of skill development across the country over the last few years.
That's right, and it's much needed, no? Because India, there are about 8
Election fever is gripping Tamil Nadu. Maharashtra is going to polls in 5 phases. Crowds are building for the Prime Minister's rally.
The Congress is hoping this time it can snap some seats from the BJP.
Corruption, Hindutva and Vikas remain the core pitch for the BJP.
One of the important factors of this election will be the return of statehood.
The guarantees of Prime Minister Narendra Modi is resonating with people.
Amid this controversy, we are seeing that Rahul Gandhi has arrived at Wayanad.
So our first story today is a rather special one. It's one that we discovered right here in our backyard in Noida. Just a few minutes away from our studios is a special little school where you have hundreds of students who are going to be receiving education. This is students with lesser access. Each batch is about 40 students large. They make the yummiest meals from scratch. Just close your eyes. Imagine balushai, chow mein, fluffy bread rolls.
अरे hold on, Toya, stop getting carried away by the food. खबर क्या है ये भी तो बता दे अपने viewers को. It's not just the food, of course. These students are taught how to envision new business models from scratch. Right from ideation to execution, this little academy finds eager students, it trains them, and then it places them into employment. So it's an end-to-end program.
So we're super excited to get to know how so many young people were getting this kind of training so they could essentially be entirely self-reliant in just a span of a
पूरी कर्नाटक की जनता मोदी जी को तीसरी बार प्रधानमंत्री देखना चाहती है.
தோல்வி அதிகாரத்தினால தான் அவன் திருப்பி தமிழ்நாடு பாண்டிட்டு இருப்பாரு.
The BJP was so confident of getting 300 or 400 seats. Why would they want to break the opposition, take Congress leader?
India has not been able to do a rally. वोट अपील नहीं कर पा रहे, कैंडिडेट नहीं तय कर पा रहे.
हम लोग पूरी तरह से आश्वस्त हैं कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी को 370 सीटों पर विजय मिलेगी.
He was asked क्या अमेठी से आप चुनाव लड़ेंगे? Is the party want him to contest? The answer is yes.
The people of Tamil Nadu want to strengthen Modi ji's hand when Modi ji is going to come back with 400 plus.
We are doing very well, and it could be a.
Co-powered by. So our first story today is a rather special one. It's one that we discovered right here in our backyard in Noida. Just a few minutes away from our studios is a special little school where you have hundreds of students who are going to be receiving education. This is students with lesser access. Each batch is about 40 students large. They make the yummiest meals from scratch. Just close your eyes. Imagine balushai, chow mein, fluffy bread rolls.
अरे hold on, Toya, stop getting carried away by the food. खबर क्या है ये भी तो बता दे अपने viewers को. It's not just the food, of course. These students are taught how to envision new business models from scratch. Right from ideation to execution, this little academy finds eager students, it trains them, and then it places them into employment. So it's an end-to-end program.
So we're super excited to get to know how so many young people were getting this kind of training so they could essentially be entirely self-reliant in just a span of a few months, sometimes 3, sometimes 4, based on the course. It led us to take a deep dive as we discovered the kind of efforts that we've been seeing going on in the field of skill development across the country over the last few years.
That's right, and it's much needed, no? Because India, there are about 808 million youth, young people below the age of 35, and data suggests that only about 5% of them are formally trained. What that means is that you sometimes have even graduates who aren't prepared for how competitive.
Good evening and welcome to this special show that we are coming to you live from Chennai in about a week's time. Chennai and the state of Tamil Nadu will be voting. It's a crucial election, not just nationally, but here in the state as well, because there is so much onus being put by the principal political players, whether it's the DMK, the ruling party here in the state, or the BJP. Remember, the Prime Minister has made 8 visits to this state so far. He's going to be coming here more before the vote happens on the 19th. The BJP is hoping that the lotus will bloom here in Tamil Nadu after a VK says no. The sunrise will continue, the sun will not set, or will the 2 leaves actually bloom here in Tamil Nadu? So, tonight we have a special panel that's joining us live, and we're coming to you live from the ITC Grand Chola, this beautiful locale, this beautiful setting here right in the heart of Chennai, and this is an all-out political show. It's political spokespersons who are with me here on the stage, and we have a lovely audience who will also be throwing in their questions. So let me introduce our guests from right to left. Ms. Lakshmi Ramachandran is spokesperson of the Congress Party, A. Saravanan, spokesperson of the DMK, Mr. Narayan Tirupati is spokesperson of the BJP, and Apsara Reddy, spokesperson of the AIDMK. So we've put the DMK and the Congress on the one side, and the BJP and the ADMK on the other side, even though they are not formally tied up for this election. So let me start from my right. Lakshmi Ramachandran, the BJP is saying, and you know, the Prime Minister has been campaigning here. It was his 8th visit this week, and he's going to be here again on the weekend. They are saying that the time is ripe for a third alternative here in Tamil Nadu, and that third alternative, they believe, is the Lotus or the BJP. Why do you believe that's not the case?
Good evening, everyone.
The Prime Minister can come how many ever times he wants, After all, Tamil Nadu is part of India. So he is welcome to come. He can try, but lotus will never bloom in Tamil Nadu. I'll tell you why. See, this election is about saving democracy, and people of Tamil Nadu understand it better than anybody else. The ethos of India are at stake here. The institutions of democracy are captured. We have the principal opposition party, which is being paralyzed by, by all means. Our bank accounts are being frozen. The opposition CMs, they are jailed on some frivolous reasons, the cases that are fabricated against them, and they are trying to paralyze democracy paralyze the opposition parties just before a crucial